I'm the president and CEO of Cabral Gold. Cabral has an advanced gold project in northern Brazil called Cuiú Cuiú. It's immediately adjacent to G Mining's Tocantinzinho project, which is about to enter commercial production, and will be Brazil's third largest gold mine. Our project historically produced 10 times more placer gold during the Tapajós gold rush of the 1980s. We have current indicated and inferred resources of almost 1.2 million ounces, and we've been getting some very, very high-grade drill intercepts in recent weeks and months in immediately adjacent to our existing gold deposits.
Alan, good to see you. That's exactly the reason I called you up, because you got that, I think, 11 meters with 33 gram gold. That's super, super exciting. It's a great headline. I'm just checking and make sure that hasn't distracted you from getting after these oxide blankets.
No, Matt, it's part of that program, actually. We've been drilling a whole bunch of shallow holes looking for more of this oxide gold mineralization. Now, that drill intercept is partly in oxide and partly in the hard rock. So there's obviously a hard rock zone underneath that. It's incredibly exciting, but it's all part of a larger program, a lot more drill results coming, and ultimately it's part of this PFS, which is nearing completion. The PFS, as you know, is focused on determining the economic viability of this gold in oxide mineralization, but it's highly encouraging. There's a lot more gold, particularly north of this MG gold deposit in the Machixe area than we previously anticipated.
Yeah, well, it's a nice surprise to have, actually. So why were you actually drilling there in the first place? What were you trying to find?
Well, the two gold deposits, that resource I just mentioned in the intro, is mainly split between it's principally split between two gold deposits. There's the MG gold deposit and the central gold deposit. They're 5 kilometers apart. Now, the area just immediately north of MG is very, very interesting. We've already discovered one new zone to the north called Machixe Main. It's another east-west trending zone, just like the MG gold deposit. It's only 500 meters immediately north of MG. And so we don't have a resource on that yet, but there's clearly a lot more gold in oxide mineralization at Machixe. And obviously, given its proximity to MG, it's very, very interesting. Now, beyond that, immediately adjacent to Machixe, there are other showings. And that very high-grade drill hole that you just mentioned, the 11 meters at 33 grams that we put out recently, that's only 150 meters north of Machixe in a target called Machixe Northeast, and was a really, really big surprise. We've got results pending on an area on the western side called Machixe West. There's just an awful lot of gold immediately north of MG in this whole Machixe area, and I actually think that the Machixe target is going to probably prove the biggest gold deposit on the whole project area. But we've got more work to do. But there's clearly a lot more of this gold in oxide mineralization north of MG within the Machixe zone or zones, and that's obviously very positive in terms of what might be in the primary rock. But what's in the primary rock is obviously a longer term objective.
Okay, so I think if what the last 3 years has taught us is to expect the unexpected, and therefore companies' plans change. And you were the same. You said, right, let's get after these oxide blankets. So let's come back to high gold in a second. So oxide blankets. Ausenco doing the PFS at the moment. When does that conclude? When do we actually get to see the results of their work?
Very, very soon. I mean, we were hoping to get it done this month. We may still get it done this month, but it may take us a little bit longer because, as I said, we are getting all this very good mineralization in this whole Machixe zone, which is a little bit of a surprise. We knew there was mineralization up there. We just didn't expect it to be quite as compelling as it is. So we need to investigate that. But we're getting very close.
So investigate that in the sense of, I guess you don't want to be building anything on top of it because it's super high grade.
No.
There's that. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, look, Cuiú Cuiú, as I've said to you many times before, Matt, is a district scale play, which makes it a little bit different to Tocantinzinho. As you know, I was involved in the discovery of G Mining's Tocantinzinho deposit about 20 years ago. And we found that because we identified a very nice golden soil anomaly. Cuiú Cuiú has a soil anomaly which is 7 times larger than Tocantinzinho. And they've got 4 or 5 targets where they've got gold outside TZ. I think the best drill hole G Mining's drilled that I've seen in the public announcements is around about 10 meters at 1.1 grams outside of Tocantinzinho, 3 or 4 kilometers away. We've got 45 targets with gold outside our existing known gold deposits. And that the 11 meters at 33 grams is the best drill hole we've ever drilled at Cuiú Cuiú, and it's nowhere near any of the existing gold deposits. And so I think we're onto something pretty special. As I said in the intro, the historic placer production from the informal mining that was done in these two areas in the 1980s suggests there was 10 times more gold extracted from the streams at Cuiú Cuiú, which I think is a very good indication. And that's not my estimate. That's the A&M's estimate, the Mining Agency of Brazil's estimate. So we've clearly got something special at Cuiú Cuiú. There's a lot more of this gold in oxide mineralization at surface. It all goes extremely well for us. Coming up with an initial stage 1 trial mining and heap leach operations. So we're very excited.
Okay, so let's remind ourselves and people listening and watching this. The plan here is to get off these oxide blankets because it's a kind of simple, cheap process for recovery. And you've been doing some met work. I mean, where are you with that? Because that's got to feed into the PFS, presumably.
Well, let's just talk about the strategy here. So our strategy, because this is a district scale play and it's big, it's not like we're testing one anomaly here. There's multiple anomalies. And obviously, when you're a small company like ours, and you're dependent on raising money by issuing shares every sort of 12 months or so, that can be pretty exhausting, particularly when you're trying to raise money and the market has been largely negative in recent years. It means you've got no control over your cost of capital. So because it's a district scale play and because the district is going to require a lot more drilling and has, enormous potential, we believe the best way forward for us is to get off the hamster wheel of continually raising money and diluting the capital structure. What we want to do is start producing gold from these oxide blankets, Matt, all this oxide material, which has resulted from the erosion of the underlying primary gold deposits over millions of years. We've got all this saprolite mud. So all the stuff, Mother Nature means that this stuff, there's a lot of gold in this saprolite mud, which is 60 meters thick. So it won't require drilling or blasting when we come to mine it, and it won't require crushing and grinding in the plant. So we're not going to need one of these massive plants. G Mining's, built a massive plant to process all their hard material. We want to start small, mining, heap leaching this mud material. And you mentioned the MET results. The MET results have been very good. The initial MET work that we did indicates that we got 82% recoveries after just 60 days. We are doing some more MET work, so there will be a bunch more MET results coming out, column leach tests coming out in the next week or two. And all this is related, as I said, to the PFS. So, so far so good. Takes a little bit of time. We have had a few surprises, which will have an impact on the PFS work in a positive sense, as we mentioned, through these drilling results. But we think it's the best way forward.
Well, okay, so what I'm hearing is anti-dilutory behavior from you. I said that that's the trouble with sort of small companies and district plays is you've got to fund this thing. And some people look at it as an opportunity and others liability. But if you work your way through this and are able to generate near-term revenue, it can release the opportunity of your 11 meters at 33 gram type results. So no problem with that one. Obviously, the PFS is one thing. It'll give the market a sense of what the potential is. You've got to then build it. So where are you with the kind of the mine design, engineering, etc.?
Part of that, there's a lot of that is going on as part of the PFS. After the PFS, there'll be a lot of detailed engineering work that needs to be done, assuming everything's positive. We are upgrading the management team. As you're aware, a few months ago, we hired Brian Arkle as our VP Exploration and Technical Services. Now, Brian is a very experienced individual. He worked 23 years with Newmont. He was their VP Exploration for South America, and then he went to Argonaut Gold, where he worked for 5 years. And so Brian has got quite a lot of production experience. We've just hired Samantha Shorter as our new CFO. Samantha is a Vancouver-based chartered accountant who she has quite a bit of production experience and also Brazil experience. So we're upgrading the team. We're bringing in new folks, upgrading the skill set. It's a process, and it's not a straight line, Matt, as you're aware. There are always a few setbacks. The PFS has been somewhat delayed, which is unfortunate. We had some issues with the lab that was doing some of the met work, but I firmly believe that we're on the right track, and very heartened to see that the market is starting to respond to good drill results. I mean, once we got that immediately, once we announced that intercept of 11 meters at 33 grams, the stock responded, and it stayed up. I think people are starting to realize that we've got something kind of special. As you know, I've worked in this industry a very long time. I was involved in the discovery of TZ, Tocantinzinho next door. So I understand, I've seen hundreds and hundreds of gold projects. I understand what it takes to come up with something special that's going to be a mine. Cuiú Cuiú is going to ultimately be a mine. It'll be a big one. But it's going to take time, and it's going to take money. And as I said, that's the whole reason we're pursuing this strategy of a two-stage process. Get into production, start mining and processing the material from the oxide, then use that cash flow to really go to town on the underlying primary potential, which is the really big prize here. And we've already got 1.2 million ounces in the ground right now. So, which is valued at about, $40 an ounce in the ground right now. So, and as you know, the other point, as you're well aware, Matt, is I put a lot of my own money into this. I put almost 2 million Canadian dollars cash into Cabral, which for me is an enormous amount of money. So, I'm all in on this. I don't expect anybody else to contemplate an investment in Cabral Gold unless I'm leading by example as CEO. So, but it's an exciting time for the company. We're in transition and looking forward to taking that next step.
Exciting time indeed. And can we just talk about that kind of arbitrage between spending money now on advancing the PFS and Oxide Blanket works and everything associated with that, and this kind of extracurricular drill program? Because you're doing a bit of RC on the Oxide Blanket at NG and Central, but you're obviously, with Mashichi Northeast, you're still allocating a little bit of money just to kind of make sure that you're kind of keeping the story, I guess, exciting.
Well, yeah. Look, the drill program is obviously designed to primarily identify more of this oxide mineralization, this golden oxide mineralization, and we're focused on the targets which are in close proximity to the existing gold deposits. But it's throwing up some amazing results. And the other thing it's doing is it's giving us some clues in terms of what could be underneath some of these previously untested targets, because there's not gold in the oxide material unless there's gold, underneath that's been weathering over millions and millions of years. So, look, I think it's important that people understand that this is a district scale play. We've got 45 targets here with gold outside the existing gold deposits. 45 targets where we've got trenches or drill holes or boulder fields here with gold in them. And we've got some amazing areas where we've got quartz boulders on surface. And the quartz boulders are averaging, in one case, 90 grams a ton, average, gold, not silver. Another case, they're averaging 75 grams a ton, that's 5 kilometers away. And there's another one that's only averaging 23 grams a ton. But we don't know where those boulders are coming from. There are other places where we've got 6 meters at 25 grams in trench on a target you've never heard me talk about. So it's very exciting. The reason I put so much of my own money into this is because, as I said to you, I've looked at hundreds and hundreds of gold projects around the world. I've worked for a number of big companies in my career, Rio Tinto and BHP, and I've never seen a project like Cuiú Cuiú.
Right. One last question I got to ask, because I want to manage my expectations, and maybe people listening and watching this show. With regards to the PFS, which is coming through, you thought you might have it done at the end of this month, but there's a few other things, I guess, off the back of that drilling you've got to test, and so it's coming up. It's imminent, right?
It's coming. Yeah. It's taking a little bit longer. I think what I'd like our investors to understand is there's lots of moving parts to it. There's drilling, there's met work, there's engineering, there's all sorts of other aspects to this, and all those things have got to sort of come together at the end of the day. But
Absolutely. But here's the question. Here's the question, Alan, which is, I'm managing my expectations, is what does good look like for you? What would it need to be in the range of for you to go, do you know what, this is good? I know you've got the network says, at the early stage, 82% recovery. That sounds good. You know, and we've done some math on the, the size of the prize within the blankets here. But this is about being able to kind of create gold and revenue from that gold to unleash the district. So what should we be looking for?
Well, look, I think if you look at similar size operations to what we're contemplating here, as you know, we're currently permitted for about 1,000 tons a day. We're hoping that we can actually lift that number up somewhat to increase that throughput, and we're working on that hard. If you look at similar types of operations with other companies, you're looking at tens of millions of dollars here. This isn't a plant and a mine that we're going to be able to build for $5 or $10 million. It's going to be tens. It's not going to be hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And I think it'll be the low tens, but we'll see. I don't think it'll be 10. I think it'll be significantly more than that, but I don't think it'll be 50 based on, similar sorts of operations. Beyond that, Matt, that's in terms of the CapEx, right? In terms of the OpEx, I mentioned that this material is very soft, so the mining cost should be very low. It's not going to require any drilling and blasting. And the processing costs, as you know, heap leach processing and recovery of gold is a very, very cheap method. We will need to agglomerate that material. That means adding a little bit of cement, but that's normal. But, beyond that, I don't want to give a bunch of guidance. Look, I mean, I think what people should expect is that this will be a relatively modest to start with. We want to start small. We don't want to push the envelope too hard. We don't want to get step too far out of our comfort zone. As I said, we're bringing a bunch of new people in. Start small and then grow it organically. There's clearly a lot more of this oxide mineralization there than we previously anticipated. Although I always did say to people that there was the potential, I believe there would be more, and I'm being vindicated in that. So we'll see. Relatively modest sort of thing to start with. And as I said, the PFS is only on the oxide material. That's not the big prize here. We're doing this PFS on the oxide material to generate some cash flow to really allow us to go to town on the hard rock primary potential here, which is where the millions and millions of ounces, I believe, we will find. As I said, we've already got well over 1 million ounces already, but there'll be a lot more gold. But we need cash to fund all that additional drilling we need to do.